We are live. We are live. Let me see if it's going to pop up here. We are live, and I'm waiting for us to pop up live on Facebook here. There we are.
Yay.
Yes, live one. We are live. Hello, 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 hello. Nobody's on yet. We just gonna wait until a couple people get on. If you are on and I am not able to see that you are, please say hello. Drop a hello in the chat so that we can see that you're here. We'll give the people a little bit of time to come in the room.
Today's not the 6th. Oh, Lord. I thought Kim's birthday was tomorrow. It's today.
Today is the 5th, October 5th. Hi, we have some viewers coming in. Come on in. We welcome you, welcome you, welcome you. Welcome to Heads Up Mental Clarity. Stephanie and I are going to be discussing a really good, delicate topic. And we hope that we help someone along their journey in discussing this and bringing awareness to domestic violence. I can't always see the viewers. I see one person.
You do?
Yeah, well, I don't see the person itself. Too, it says two people are viewing. But what I learned is that doesn't mean that's all the people who are viewing.
Oh, really?
That's all you can see. Yeah. If you are watching, please drop in the comment a hello. Let us know you're here so we can acknowledge that you're here. We appreciate you getting on. This is a very sensitive and important topic, and we are here to hopefully give you some information. My prayer is that we help someone along the way.
Absolutely. I don't. Oh, here you are. I was like, I don't see you live
Yeah.
yet.
My description says that we want to honor survivors. Um, I should have said pay tribute to those who did not survive and hopefully help those who might find themselves in that particular situation. Hi, Latrice. Thank you for joining. Please
Hi, Latrice.
share and invite and share. Come on in here. Let us know you're here. You can just send us a wave, send us a heart, or what have you. We just want to know that you're in the room with us. We are going to be discussing some really important um, topics. This really important topic today. This
Hmm.
month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, right? Um,
Yes.
it's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but today we are going to
Mhm.
be focusing on domestic violence. I am Michelle Bird. Hi, Sophia. I am Michelle Bird,
Hi, Sophia.
your mental health therapist, and this is my bestest friend, Stephanie McKinney.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, evening, actually. So it's dark outside.
It is.
It's that time of year. I love October. Um, yeah, I've always loved the month of October. So didn't
Mhm.
know, this, but I've always loved the month of October. So
Yeah,
I
for
think it's
sure.
pretty fitting to be the month of Domestic Violence Awareness Month too.
Okay.
And the colors are purple. So I
Yes.
was thinking, oh, I don't know if you remember, I used to make all those purple ribbons.
Yes, I
And
did.
excuse me, just now I just thought, oh, I should design me a purple and pink ribbon. That would be cute.
That would be cute. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I got my purple glasses and my pink case.
cool, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. I have one purple blouse, and the rest are t-shirts, domestic violence t-shirts. But I've been working all day, so
I have a lot of purple because purple is my favorite color anyway. I have a lot of
Mhm.
purple. A lot of purple. Um, Hi, thank you guys for chiming in. Stephanie and I are going to be bringing to you the topic of domestic violence. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we want to honor those who are survivors. We want to pay tribute to those who did not survive, and we want to lend some information um, for those who are currently struggling, or for those who know someone who is struggling that can, and you can take this information and to help them. The bottom of our screen, you have the hotline, and it's 1-800-27. Oh, that's not the right one. Let me give it to you. I forgot to change that. 1-800-799 SAFE. 1-800-799-7233. I'm going to change that actually. So I'm going to hide that and change that right now so we can get the right number.
Mhm. But I'm sure if you dial that number, they'll get
No,
you right.
direct you. Yes. Yes.
That one is for suicide, which is a very high percentage of women or men, whomever, people that are in
Mhm.
domestic violence have a very high percentage of suicide. So,
Yep. It's 1-800-799 SAFE or 1-800-799-7233.
mhm.
Okay. Please share that as well. But we're going to be talking about domestic violence. And I don't know. I want to be, we usually have a lot of energy and maybe we still will, but I feel, I don't know, because this domestic violence, that means people are being hurt and I'm not okay with that. So I'm
I
a little
know, right?
melancholy
Yeah,
about that. So,
yeah.
um,
My only bring to, not only, one of my bring tos to the conversation tonight was just for people to, I wish that we could have a dialogue because I'm curious as to what people think about when they think about domestic violence and what they think about survivors of domestic violence, and what are some of the myths and beliefs that people have about
mhm.
domestic violence. I know that when we were talking about domestic violence last year, they talked about the statistics, how domestic violence numbers increased in March. Like as soon as the shut in started, things
Mhm.
got to be really, really bad, because there's economic coercion, and now people, the person that has the power, because domestic violence is a dynamic of power and control, whether it's more power financially, more power physically, someone who has sexually, you can be sexually assaulted in a marriage or in in a relationship, but it's a power and control dynamic, and it starts with a lot of manipulation. And so when there is a domestic violence situation in a home, sometimes going to work and the school are the only areas of freedom that people who live in that environment
Yeah.
have, and now they're shut in with the abuser. um, and so the numbers have jumped tremendously. And we know that anxiety and depression has increased because of this COVID-19
Right.
pandemic. And then it's exacerbated with the power and control dynamics. And then I'm doing another study on how the body, how what we think about
Mhm.
creates disease in the body. So you just take all of those dynamics, and I'm not, no shade on men, but those haven't been my clientele um, in this arena. So I'm going to be representing or speaking about women, but it does not exclude men, the male population,
Right.
and it also includes same sex um, relationships as well. But so if I haven't done any statistics or studies, but I would assume um, female problems probably have increased statistically because disease comes from people having disease in in their lives. So you take
Right.
depression, you take the pandemic and domestic violence, and you couple that with female oppression. Um, I,
Mhm.
I would I would really yeah, it's safe to assume that there's a lot of fibroid stuff, uterus stuff going on, breast stuff. It's interesting, breast cancer and domestic violence in the same month. That makes sense because
Yeah.
cancer and the breast and female and all of that is it's a form of oppression, and that's how it displays itself in the body. So, I think that that is really interesting to me that the numbers have gone up, and and
Yeah.
and and I'm just curious as to how the medical field is handling the increase of all our female diseases that are in our bodies too, right
Right.
about now in the next 12 or 14 months.
And
And
if they see a correlation between both,
mhm.
yeah,
Most of the time, the medical industry does not. Um,
they don't see it or they just don't necessarily
they
acknowledge
don't report it and
it.
acknowledge it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we see it all the time. If you in our offices, depression, anxiety, female problems, it all kind of goes hand in hand. That
Yeah.
men is prostate, that's oppression,
Mm-hmm.
oppressed environment. Someone came from an environment where they didn't have a voice. It's so interesting to me. But
Mm.
anyway, so the numbers have gone up, no doubt. And let me get some specifics for you.
Okay.
So the forms of violence and abuse are domestic violence and economic abuse. I mentioned that violence, of
Mm-hmm.
course, gun abuse has increased. Um,
Yeah.
Physical abuse, psychological abuse. Some people call it narcissism, but it can, that's just even the beginning of it.
Right.
Sexual assault, stalking,
Mm-hmm.
using the children as bait.
Yeah.
Um, Let me see. I think that's all of the forms of the abuse. And then let's see, national statistics. This blows my mind every time I see it. Every year I print this out and the numbers increase. 10 million adults experience domestic violence annually. And I thought I saw something that said 8 million people take time off from work, miss work due to domestic violence a year. So 8
Mm-hmm.
million hours of work are lost due to domestic violence. Um, let's see here. 1 in 4 women, that hasn't changed. I wonder if that's more, but 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men experience sexual violence, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime,
Oh, oh, wow.
right? 1 in 4. So if you got a room of 20 women and everybody count off four, that's 5 women, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a room of 20 that have been violated sexually or physically. And we could presume that it may be more
I
in
was gonna say
certain
this could be
populations and
more than that.
communities.
Yep.
Hmm. Hmm. Female victims sustain injuries 3 times more often than male. 1 in 5 female victims and 1 in 9 male victims need legal services. Um, and if somebody wants to know about legal services, they can give either one of us a call. Um, and 23.2% of women and 13% of men have experienced severe physical violence by an intimate partner. That
Mm.
is a big number,
Right.
13.9 for men. Right?
Mm-hmm. Wow. And those are the cases that are reported.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those are just the cases that are reported, and that's awful. Yep. But those are
Mm-hmm.
just the ones that are reported, and I think about um, all the ones that are not reported. I think about when you start to read the numbers, all of the ones that are not reported that are men, because it's embarrassing or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But
It,
that's a big number that's jumped up. That number
Mhm.
is huge.
Yeah.
Curious as to how we got those numbers and what makes men report. now as opposed to before in the past. I've been working with this since 1999. So that's a big number for me. I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa. You know that 19% of intimate partner violence involves a weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and it is 400%, the likelihood of someone firing a firearm in domestic violence is is up by 400%.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we've heard repeatedly about these murder suicides. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
mhm.
Yeah. Um, and I want people to be clear too, because I think that we think about, you've said it, but I want to emphasize it. We think about domestic violence, we think about physical violence.
Right.
But it's not just physical, and sometimes it cannot be physical at all, and it's very emotional, mental, psychological.
Hmm.
But can that sometimes escalate into physical violence or someone being murdered.
Yeah. So what typically happens? So the reason why I shared my story and want to continue to add to it is that the most volatile time or the most dangerous time for anyone that wants to leave a domestic violence partnership is they put themselves at a greater risk when they leave the abuser. So as long as they can coerce you with holding you at bay financially, you won't be abused physically,
Right. Yeah.
or if they
Yeah.
can use religion or, you're supposed to stay with me till death do us part. They can, so if there's no need to take it to the point and I'm not saying all people because, there's movies out here where people just fight because it's Tuesday. I don't know anything about that. But most of the times violence gets worse when a person has a mind of their own, if they are saying, hey, I'm divorcing you,
When a
or
perpetrator is going to lose control.
when, yeah, the greater the risk of losing control, the more the violence escalates. So the more withdrawn that the person gets, then the abuser becomes more afraid, and then they up the ante, if you will.
Mm, yeah.
So
Yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear, because I think that people think that when they're, um, oh, it's nothing, or, my safety is not at risk.
right.
But you're right. And I've seen that more and more cases than not, where the person gets ready to, it's not physical while they're in the home, but when they leave, or make an announcement, or it looks like they're going to leave and that person's going to lose control, it
Mhm,
escalates into something very physical.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's a lot of the stigma that people have, or they um they don't imagine somebody in domestic violence is a lawyer or a doctor,
Yeah, thank you for
um,
bringing that up.
or therapist, and yeah. So those type of stigmas are one of the reasons that this domestic violence is perpetuated,
Yeah.
is because there are stigmas, and people don't come to help, don't make it safe. When I was living in my situation, pastors tell me to go home. I'm not going to be killed. I need to pray, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I often talk about I felt that God was obligated to fix it because I was faithful and committed. Um, but no such thing.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Yeah, because the person is sick with
Mhm.
the need to have power, or whatever
Mhm.
else is going on with them.
Mhm.
And the person who, I mean, could you speak to, that person who doesn't leave, because there are some myths about that, um, or there's some judgment about why don't they leave? Why do they stay?
Yeah, and I think that is the most ignorant um, question and statement that anybody can make about anything.
Hmm.
Um, because the reality is that if somebody doesn't want to be a part of something, when they no longer want to be a part of it, guess what? They'll no longer be a part of it.
Hmm.
Why is just like none of our business. But as far as domestic violence is concerned, it's a power and control dynamics, and it is it's kind of like with Adolf Hitler. There's this small drip of innuendos and statements made, and there is this infatuation, love bombing, if you will. I don't like to use that language, but there is experience that people have before the violence gets to be too big. There's the happy times and the good times and the things that make the connection worthwhile. And then if you add religion and vows and God to the mix, it just gives you more staying power. Like, well, God can fix this, especially if it's not anything physical and it's just, moodiness and irritation and somebody taking your dinner that you cooked and throwing it into the trash can. That's abuse.
Yeah.
Um, Something as simple as that is abuse, but you get to determine what level of abuse you want to take, and you get to determine what is abuse for you. But so
Right.
asking, well, why doesn't she leave? It might be because she can't afford to leave, or he may not be able to afford to leave. But the number one reason why people do not leave is because they love their partner. So if
Yeah.
you've ever been in love before, think about that before you ask that ridiculous question.
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
because those women love. When I worked in shelter services, that's the very first thing that I gave knowledge to, acknowledging, I know you love them. I know that.
Hmm.
Nobody's going to take that away from you, because it's like, well, I love them. Okay, that's good. We get that. So now let's work on what's happening. You
Right.
don't have to stop loving them, but let's look at what's happening.
And what we equate to love.
Hmm.
Staying means love,
Hmm.
right? And
Mhm,
so,
and hoping and finding out what's wrong with them. Let me just find out what's wrong with them. So then they want you to diagnose him, the
hmm.
abuser, and
Hmm.
then now, so if I know that he's got a depression problem or a borderline problem or a personality problem, so now I go back and I try to fix him, because if
Hmm.
we fix this, then
That
that'll
okay.
be okay. I believe that if my partner, even though he put his hands on, well, I believe that he was on drugs before I married him, but I didn't know any better. But when I found out it was drugs, I thought, well, if he goes and gets help for his drugs, then the other stuff would not be a part of it. And but the reality is that that person was so severely angry and so severely damaged himself. He had been bullied too. Hurt people. And
Hmm.
so what else was he going to do besides hurt me too, because that's what he knew, because he experienced power and control in his life as well. So that's how he knew how to keep order. Um, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened. And that's typical. But when I'm dealing with women or survivors of domestic violence, I'm really not caring about what their abuser's issue is. I just want to acknowledge the fact that they do love this person, but that love will not change this person's behavior.
Right.
That love will, it's not enough to change their behavior. You can love them all. Your love will not change their behavior.
Well, I.
And so giving them,
Mhm.
mhm,
So I recognize you said that, that person had endured bullying and things like that in their lives. And so what I kind of, and you can, I am kind of sort of in student mode, right? Because I know what statistics say, but I don't know from experience that type of abuse, right? And
mhm,
so I wonder when because we talk a lot about parents and how we raise our children and the discipline measures, that we've been taught to use,
yep,
you know, those things can, in my opinion, you can tell me if I'm wrong, can cause someone to be um, victimized and also cause someone to be the perpetrator of
Yeah.
that
So
violence.
almost, I want to say half, and I'm probably underselling, people, survivors of domestic violence, end up being abusive to their children or their next partner. They may not be physically abusive, but they have a tendency to be emotionally abusive because now they're in protective mode. So when they get into a new relationship, they are like, and if they don't seek the help to understand. But yes, so if you come from a house where you are abused, bullied, not just disciplined because you ran
Discipline
across the
involves
street or
love.
somebody, right, discipline out of love, but discipline out of frustration and anger, then you are in an abusive household, and then you in turn um, will abuse. Also, if you were in that household, you may not abuse, but you become a good victim or survivor for
Right.
that because
Right.
now,
I played with both of those words in my head when I was
right,
trying to say
well,
it, but yeah.
yeah, because now people mistreating you in a physical way or harming you or degrading you or putting you down is normal.
It's normal. Yes, that
It's normal. And so and it's given to you by someone who quote unquote loves you, a mother or a father, a grandmother, whatever. And so when your partner does the same thing, who tells the brain that that's not the same? I mean, they have diet Pepsi and real Pepsi. The brain knows not the difference. It's just what it is. It's I
yeah.
want Pepsi, I'll get a diet Pepsi for whatever reason, but Pepsi is Pepsi. And so the brain doesn't know that this ain't love. My mother beat me or my father beat me and they love me. So what makes this person's abuse not love?
Right.
We don't sit
Or
around and
what
think
makes this behavior abuse? I wasn't abused at home.
that. Right.
I might have gotten some whoopings or really bad
Yeah.
whoopings.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Why would
Mm-hmm.
this is not different?
And you'll hear people say, I'm not your child. But the fact that you say that is the reason why we need to sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because I'm your child doesn't give you permission to smack me in the face and punch me in the face and hit me in my arms or do anything that's going to cause harm to me, because that is the most, it's unloving. But
Right.
it does cause cognitive dissonance of the brain, in the brain, when children are beaten out of frustration and anger and not from a place of love. And I don't know how you can beat somebody out of love, but people say they do it. I know the times that I've hit my kids, it wasn't because from a place of love, it was from a place of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
was frustrated with them.
Mm-hmm.
I was frustrated. It was my emotion, and I reacted and responded to that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I'm not a component of spanking because of my journey, but yeah,
Right.
I just don't believe in it. I don't think it's necessary, and I've watched women spend 90 days in shelter services without putting their hands on their children. So it is doable. And those kids, when they get to shelter services, they are so safe. They are off the hook.
Mm-hmm. Because they feel safe and they
They
don't have
feel
to worry
safe.
about being beaten or.
Yelled at, screamed at, none of that is permitted or allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need to go to shelter services, um, um, community living is not easy,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a place of refuge. I encourage anyone that needs to be in a safe place just to regroup, even if you decide to go back home. You get to a place where you can get educated about what's happening. You get to place to take a breath. You
Yeah.
get to find out that you are not by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about if they have community services here in Ohio where the living facility also facilitates outside support groups. I'm gonna find out. I actually sent some calls and requests out last week. Um, but it's good to just go to support group meetings and be in other places with other women, because that's where you learn the power of no. You learn the power of your boundaries. You learn about who you are. You learn about codependency. Um, you learn about
You start to gain your power, right? And that's why it is so important to the abuser in that relationship to isolate you.
right. Hmm.
Because if you could agree, if you were in a room something like interrogation, how that goes, and you're in that room and it's just been hounded and hounded and hounded and hounded into you, you start to believe that,
Hmm.
right? And so we can't have you going other places and hearing other ideas.
Right.
And so you're isolated. Don't want you to be with friends, or
Empowered.
or don't like friends of yours
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
seem to be empowered. They don't like that. Want you
Yeah.
isolated from.
And so I want people to understand isolation, because I come from a really big family. So there ain't but so much isolation that could happen on my journey. But I did move away, but I was still on the phone with my family, and I didn't keep a lot of secrets. I kind of told our business, which I know was not safe, but whatever. Um, so isolation doesn't mean like that person is tucked away. Sometimes that person is able like to go to work and come home, go to church, serve on the usher board and things like that. They're people, but then their normal level of activity, just like a person that's depressed, our goals are to help them get back to their normal level of activity. That is what starts to change. The
Right.
normal level of activity, where that person might be more outgoing, volunteering and things like that, they may just be doing work, church, just enough so that nobody
Notice
questions
it. Yeah.
what's going on.
Hmm.
So sometimes people have this primitive idea of these mousy, powerless people who,
Hmm.
don't get out, or, are stowed away somewhere while some big bad bully is keeping them under
Hmm.
their thumb.
Right. Right. Right.
And it's nothing like that. You can actually, and a lot of times abusers will tell this horrible, sad story and create enemies out of everybody, like in their family. And
Hmm.
then if you're young and you don't know, then you start having conversations about negative conversations about your family. And so one of the things I share with people is you don't tell anybody anything negative about your family ever.
Hmm.
Um, and it's nobody's business who you've been with, who you slept with, where you've been. When before you meet them, that's not a person's business. I don't understand where that concept comes from, but I remember being asked those questions, and I was just like, "What?" I didn't understand why that was so necessary. But as I talked to other people, I see
Hmm.
how abusers use that information
Yeah.
to
Right.
to
Against
change, like to say, oh, you must have some type of sexual problem, you must be a whore, you must be promiscuous, and then that sends that person on a campaign to prove to this abuser that they're faithful, loyal,
you.
committed,
Hmm.
when you're that anyway.
So kind of like a grooming, like this
It is definitely grooming.
grooming process.
There is
Mhm.
always a grooming process, and as subtle as it may be, you have to just be mindful of it.
Yeah.
Be mindful of back in 1999 and 2000, the statistics was 50-50. You're out here dating, it's a 50-50 chance that you are going to come in contact with an abuser or narcissist.
Hmm.
Just that's statistics.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so just be mindful of when we're meeting, and you'll know people who are hurting because they sometimes disclose way too much too soon, even in girlfriend
Yeah.
connections, and so with the all of the trafficking and stuff, we need to be careful,
Yes, they do.
as women, about what we disclose and what we share, period, and how soon we share it, and always try your best to be as optimistic about your journey as you can. And if you can't be, come and see one of us, because
Yeah.
that needs to be the goal. The
Mhm.
more happier you are with your life, there's a certain energy of people that can't get in.
Yes.
Can't
And
get
they
in.
won't try
Hmm.
because it's like they feel that energy and they know, like, yep, nope, not that one.
Right. Right.
That energy is real.
Yes.
People, us picking up on energies, that's real.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
definitely real.
And people, and there is a awareness with abusers that they know is definitely intentional. The people
Hmm.
that they choose to
Yeah.
abuse. And if somebody's in domestic violence right now, this won't make sense until you step away from it and come into a space of healing. But if you were chosen, it's because you are the bomb.
Yes.
They don't choose no punks.
Yes, and I had a young lady to say, what is wrong with me? Or I was like, no, everything was right with you. That's why you were chosen.
Yeah.
It's almost, almost kind of like a challenge,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Like, I need to break you down
Right.
because
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
this is Stephanie, and I'm saying this. I know it's true. I can support it, just not tonight because I don't have statistics. But you got an issue with your mother,
Hmm.
and you don't have the courage to take it out on her. And so I most likely represent an aspect of who she is. And so therefore you're taking the abuse is taken out on you. Or if it's a female boss. So there's always, it's called
Yeah.
transference. There's always a projection that's
Mhm.
projected upon you if you are in domestic violence or a power and control dynamic. The goal is to break you down, but
Yeah.
there it's not you, it's somebody in their head or some idea about women or females that it's a challenge for them to
Mhm.
break you down,
Yeah.
break
And
you down and break you down.
yeah, and I think the same is true for men who are abused.
Absolutely.
The opposite of that,
Mhm. Mhm.
is that if you're a woman abuser, you have some
Mhm.
issues with your father.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, it's just it's just amazing how people's minds work. But know that we're in this space where we all need some work, and some people are willing to do some work, and other people are not.
Right.
Um, and so they perpetuate, or like you said, project that energy onto other people.
Mhm.
And so the messaging. Well, before I say what the messaging is, I want to give some. Stephanie alluded to and hit on some of the warning signs, but so that you can understand. So, because one is like this extreme jealousy, and sometimes in relationship we think that that's cute. Oh, they must really care about me. They care about what
Yeah.
I'm
I
doing.
almost can't imagine that, and I know that people still do, but I'm like, what? But
Right.
yeah, thank you for bringing that up because in my mind, as soon as I hear that, I'll be like, don't nobody think like that no more. But I know that they do. They
Human
think,
mind still exists.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and so and at first it might, to some people, feel like that. I'm sure
Hmm.
as time goes on they realize that, okay, that's sick, that's
That's a bit
not okay,
much.
that's a
Hmm.
big red flag. But I
Hmm.
think that maybe in the beginning it's not seen as a red flag,
Hmm.
you know.
Yes, and please don't. Yeah, jealousy is not good. It's not cute. It's not attractive, and
It
it
can
is
be
a red
subtle
flag.
too.
Oh,
It
it's
doesn't
very subtle.
Where does it have to look like what you looking at them for? It doesn't
Hmm.
have to look like that, right?
Hmm.
It
You
could
can
be
have somebody say, "Oh, you one of those friendly girls, huh?"
right. Oh, you wearing that?
I am.
Are you
Mhm,
wearing that? Just a
mhm,
little bit to have you question yourself and what
mhm,
you're doing,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. You doing too, then just the you doing too much, the breaking down part.
Mhm.
You're successful if you watch their actions, even if it doesn't come out of their mouths. You get a, and I knew a couple in this situation. You get a new car, you gotta up you one and get a better new car, or
Mhm.
those types of things, right? Criticisms of the things that you do, just
Yes,
all types of
yes,
criticism, period. Insulting, demeaning, shaming, right? Can't read my writing. Oh, controlling the finances. You said that part.
mhm,
Controlling the finances. I watched this episode of Sometimes I watch Married at First Sight,
Mm-hmm.
mindless TV before I close my eyes sometimes. And anytime I watch anything these days, it's really from a therapist. Um, my eye. I'm
Yeah.
watching and looking at the dynamics and things like that.
You almost can't help it.
Yeah, and one of the
Mm-hmm.
couples, the guy was just kind of like, "This is how we're going." Now, mind you, he was very good with finances, and she's horrible. They learned the differences in them, and she's like, "Yeah, I really need to be kind of honed in and learn how to do this better." But he was way on the other end, like down to the penny was written on the board. And I mean, he was sharing how he did things, but then it was like, and this is what you need to do, and this is how this is going to happen, and we're going to have accounts this way. And she just didn't feel like she had a voice. Well, she didn't. The way he was talking, it was like, that's just the way it is. Like, pay attention to stuff like that. That's not okay. um Being explosive sometimes is not
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Sometimes it doesn't show up right
Mm-hmm.
away, and then all of a sudden you see it. And
Or
it's,
how they are with other
I
people.
was just going to say, the explosion could be with somebody else and not even with you.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
we,
that doesn't have to be in just like an intimate partnership,
yes,
ladies and gentlemen. Anywhere, any connection, just a girlfriend connection, work connection, how people treat other people, you up. There is a time for
yes.
you too. You're going to get your day. Um,
I was just thinking, I was going to say is how it's amazing that we be in relationship with people and we watch their behavior, and for some reason we are so shocked when they project that onto us. It's like, well, they've been doing it to everybody else. What made you think that you would be exempt? I mean, I've said that to myself. Like,
Me too.
why'd you think you would be exempt? Who are
Hmm.
you that you're going to be exempt from this person's behavior when they treat most people this way, if not everybody? This is who they are. This is their behavior. This is who
Hmm.
they're choosing to be. So you're right. Like, not just with you, but with other people, right? You see
Hmm.
them going from 0 to 100.
Hmm.
Like, oh, well, he didn't do that to me, or she didn't do that to me,
Hmm.
or we don't think about it at all. It should
Hmm.
be disturbing when it happens, even if it's to somebody else.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Pressuring one to have sex. I don't care if you are.
That's rape.
I don't care if you are married.
Yep.
I don't care if you're married,
Hmm.
right? But we get misinformation
Hmm.
that says that I'm married, and we get misinterpretation of, the body and who it belongs to and all that stuff.
Right?
But I don't care. And if it don't feel right, it ain't right. I don't care if you're married.
Right.
Feel right is not right. And a person that loves and respects you will not pressure you to
Hmm.
do anything.
Hmm.
And then pressuring you to use drugs or alcohol, um, you know, and then, and of course the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse.
Hmm.
You think that it's just like, oh, well, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never heard. It doesn't matter what somebody says. We grew up with that nonsense. We grew up with that nonsense.
Hmm. That's a lie.
It is. It
It's a
absolutely
lie.
is. I don't
It's a
know if we were
lie.
taught that to grow thick skin, if you will, while we're out in the playground or whatever. But it is a lie, and we bring that into our adult lives. And when we hear that or experience that, it's like, oh well, then we
Try
ignore
to
it.
make it not matter. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna make it not matter, and it all matters, especially if it's from someone that you love and adore, and they're calling you like stupid or
Right.
ignorant or really, what's wrong with you? Like things like those. Those things are they're
Mhm.
insulting and unloving. But let
Yes,
me just say this, because I know everybody comes from a different place. If it does not feel like love, it is not.
it is not. It is not.
It's
Absolutely.
not. It's not. And if you're not in a place where you can say that does not feel loving, you're probably in a relationship where there is abuse.
Yes.
If you can't say that, because everybody don't know, we all come from different places, but if you're not in a space where you can say that feels so unloving, or that, yeah, that wasn't okay for me, and
Right.
that person can reciprocate a conversation like, well, either well, that wasn't my intention, or whatever the dialogue is. But
Mhm.
when you're in an abusive relationship, Some person will minimize your experience, say that they didn't say that,
Yeah,
that's not what was said. You took it the wrong way. And even if you did take it the wrong way, you're saying that that experience did not feel loving to me.
right. And that should be validated,
Yes.
not ignored, not demeaned, not diminished. It should be validated.
Mm-hmm.
You're simply saying this is what this feels like.
Right.
I don't like it. It needs to stop.
Right.
Right. Um,
And you are never, ever, ever responsible for someone mistreating you. You are never
yeah.
responsible for someone mistreating you. You are absolutely never responsible for someone mistreating you, talking to you crazy, putting their hands on you crazy, ever
Right.
responsible for someone mistreating you, ever.
Absolutely.
So if you
Absolutely.
ever feel like you are responsible, you need to give one of us a call or call this hotline,
Hmm.
because you are never responsible for someone else's mistreatment towards you.
Yeah.
Ever. You're never responsible. And
And I
just like nobody's responsible when you mistreat others.
exactly. Exactly. And I want to just say that I know that I will throughout the month be dropping tips and things like that of, what it looks like and what's healthy, what's not healthy, what's abusive, and things like that throughout the month, and that hotline number to make sure that people get the information that they need. If they don't watch this or what have you, I'll be dropping tips and things like that on my news feed on Facebook and Instagram to make sure that people get this information. Um, I found an interesting chart, and it kind of describes the difference between healthy, unhealthy, and abusive. And so what it says is that, a healthy relationship, you're communicating. An unhealthy relationship, um, the partner is not communicating. And in an abusive relationship, the communication is hurtful and threatening,
Mm-hmm.
right? In a healthy relationship, you and your partner are respectful. In an unhealthy relationship, your partner is disrespectful, right? And an abusive relationship is very mistreating.
Mm-hmm.
It's to a whole another level. Um, in a healthy relationship, you and your partner are trusting. Unhealthy is not trusting, and I would just beware of the unhealthy parts too. Like, I don't want you to take away from, oh well, then it's not abusive. It's just not healthy because if you're both not working for the relationship to become healthy,
Healthy is
you're
probably
headed
abusive.
for abuse, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, unhealthy relationship, the partner is not trusting. An abusive relationship, the partner is mistreating. For honesty, you both are honest in a healthy relationship. Unhealthy relationship, there's dishonesty. And an abusive relationship, there's accusing the other of cheating when it's untrue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I wonder if sometimes they know it's untrue.
I don't know. I'm glad I got time to figure it out. I don't know. But just the fact that it's happening is crazy making.
Yes. Yes. And can cause you to start
It's literally crazy.
doubting.
It's
Yes.
literally crazy making. Yes, to create self doubt, disbelief, cognitive dissonance, and it is that's a part of the grooming, and it sends you into a space of trying to prove what is happening. I put a statement out there a couple of days ago about not receiving reciprocity, and then you working hard to try to gain the
Mhm.
connection because it's not being reciprocal. It's the same thing with somebody accusing you of cheating. If you know that you don't cheat,
Right.
drop the mic and walk away.
For
I don't,
sure.
you do not have a responsibility to prove to someone that you crazy. I'm not doing,
Yeah.
don't get in that arena. Like, don't get in that ring, because that's a setup.
Exactly.
It's a
Um,
setup, and you don't have to prove If you need me to prove to you that I'm being faithful to you, then we are not soul connected. We are not spirit connected. And this is a fleshly thing, and I'm done.
And I need
Not,
to, yeah,
I got to go somewhere else,
yeah,
because two people that are spiritually connected, that's not a conversation to be had. And if you feel that your partner is like unfaithful or blah blah blah, instead of saying, "Are you cheating?" just go away. Just be done with that.
mhm,
And I mean that. I'm
mhm,
like Medea right now. If you think it's happening, it's probably happening.
mhm.
So decide who you want to be in that reality,
Yes.
as opposed to sneaking around, looking around, trying to find something. Just be done.
Yeah, there was a Facebook post that said, you're staying at your partner's house, your boyfriend, whatever, significant other's house, and he's not home. What are you doing? So many of the comments were like, I'm playing detective, I'm going through his thing. And I was like, wow.
For what? Just get out and do your work.
Yes.
Because this is not about him. This is about you.
Yeah.
Like, just
My daughter read it out loud, and I was like, I'm chilling because I got the house to myself. That was what
hello.
I was thinking.
Right.
And then she started reading the comments, and it was like, I'm playing FBI, I'm checking things, I'm going through drawers. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, all right. Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah, because that means you're not secure with yourself.
Exactly.
And so what? So if you find something, what?
What?
What you gonna do? Nag him to stop? Nag him not to do what he do? Like, he's an adult. He's has the freedom to do what he wants to do. You get to make a decision what it is you want to do with that.
Right. Absolutely.
Please understand that. And please understand, if you're accusing, you are out of line. Go find something to do. Go and trust that the universe has someone in your space that
That you
adores you
right.
enough that that's not a conversation that you're going to have, or you're going to have it in the beginning. Hey, I got other people in my life. Please know that. And then you get to make a decision for
Yeah,
yourself what
for
you want
sure.
to do with that. But all of that, oh,
Yeah.
you're just holding up yummy good life
I
by
know, right?
staying in a space where you're being accused, or you're feeling that you need to accuse someone.
Right. In a healthy relationship is equal. There's equality. In an unhealthy relationship, the partner is trying to take control. And in an abusive relationship, they're denying their actions are abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In a healthy relationship, you're enjoying each other's personal time away from each other. You're enjoying your personal
Mm-hmm.
time away from each other. Unhealthy relationship, you're only spending time together. There is no time spent with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And abusive relationship is controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Isolating where you can't do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Or
Um,
being made to feel bad.
made to feel bad about it. Yeah. Um, healthy relationship, you're making mutual choices, and economic and financial partners. You're economically and financially you are partners.
Mm-hmm.
Unhealthy is pressured into activities, and economics is definitely unequal.
Mm-hmm.
And then abusive, isolating their partners from others, and taking control of
Everything.
finance, everything, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be dropping these also in on Facebook and things like that. So people want that information, they can have that. And for those who haven't seen that, also we'll be dropping it in the group, the Heads Up Mental Clarity group that we have on Facebook. Um, this was really good. I don't think we ever have enough time to talk about
Mm-hmm.
this.
No, this
And I
is
like
good.
you.
I'm curious. I really would like to know what people think and have questions of. So if you drop the questions in, I would love to hear the questions, and
Yeah,
be able to speak to them too.
yeah, absolutely. I would love that as well. And then maybe we should plan the next one for it to be questions from
Answer.
people, and we
Hmm.
can answer. We can do the next live on that. That's fine
Yeah.
for sure. Um, yeah, maybe we can do that because this takes time and time and time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sure.
And so, because it's not cookie cutter.
It's
It's
not
so it's so it's not cookie cutter, and the to watch women come in and out of shelter services or getting help, and they hear one person's story that's just off the chain, and they thinking, oh well, my situation not so bad. He just won't let me get a
Right.
hold of the checkbook. And then they go back into a situation, and because they left, now he done not only keeping a checkbook, but he got his hand around your throat. And you
Right.
never had that experience before because we minimize.
Because they got to up the ante to make sure that you don't do that again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to answer questions or just get some. I'm just curious as to what the audience is thinking or feeling about this
Yeah.
whole topic.
Yeah, let's come up with something with questions and posts and sharing, inviting, and do that the next time
Mhm.
we're doing
I
just
think that
questions.
would be really good.
Yes, for sure. Yeah,
Be really good.
providing a space for people to ask those questions about themselves
Mhm.
or um, for this person I know or whomever you want to
Mhm.
identify as. Yep,
Yeah. Mhm.
this is good. Thank you.
Yeah. I hope this was helpful.
I do too.
And for those who are watching, or the person that watches this years from now, and you find your, I hate that we are still talking about this, but
Mhm.
it's a thing, and I wanted to, I want to be able to put a positive spin on it. I guess I
Mhm.
will later in life, but it's disturbing that it's still a thing. Um,
Something else I wanted to say really quickly too is that, and this was on my mind before when we came up with this topic, to do this topic. Understand that age, there is no limit in age. We have teenage girls that are going through abuse with their partners.
yes, it
Okay?
starts. If you ask
Boys,
somebody, mhm,
girls with boyfriends and boyfriends with girlfriends and same sex relationships. There
mhm,
is domestic violence going on in those relationships, and I think that we don't pay enough attention to that.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, so when you do the whole jealousy thing and you think that that is cute,
Yeah, for sure.
mhm.
Yeah.
So there's so much to say about it,
It
but I
is.
love to hear feedback and give feedback.
Yeah, for sure. All right. This was
All right.
good. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Thank
am
you.
Michelle
Thanks for
Bird.
staying up with us.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And we will be back in 2 weeks with this topic and to answer questions as well.
Absolutely.
I'm
Thanks,
Michelle
Michelle.
Bird. You can find me on Facebook via my name, Instagram via my name, email michelledbird@gmail, Psychology Today via my name, and ChicagoCompassCounseling.com.
And Stephanie McCain. You can find me at Psychology Today, S. McCain, MFT on Instagram, and Stephanie Stevens McCain on Facebook.
All right. Thank you, friend.
Thank you. And Lamplight Counseling Services here in Cleveland, Ohio, Independence, Ohio.
Yep. All right.
All right. Have a
Good
great
night.
night.